New Zealand scored 103 in the last 10 to take themselves to 288 for 6. Now, Afghanistan, so far in this World Cup, 2 innings, 272 they scored against India, 282 against the world champions England. Can they scale Mount 289? We'll find out. Joy Bhattacharjya and Harsha Bhogle in the house. This is what that match summary looks like so far. The first innings, it was a bit of an up and down kind of story. 134-run partnership between Glenn Phillips and Tom Latham resurrected the innings, which looked a bit lost at one stage. And then towards the end, we saw some fireworks from Mark Chapman, Hong Kong-born Kiwi citizen now. He lent the innings a certain fillip and took them to 288 for 6 and 50. Is another upset possible? I'll go to Mr. Harsha Bhogle first. Sir, firstly, how are you feeling?
Better. Seeing a good cricket match, seeing a proper 50-over cricket match where you rebuild, where the opposition has time to come in. We saw a little mini test match today. So from that point of view, yes, feeling better.
The first time I heard the words ebb and flow were from Mr. Harsha Bhogle on some cricket show. Is today the right time to use those words, sir?
Maybe we should find something else to use then. Rapids and plains, maybe, I don't know. But it's interesting, you know. They lost wicket early. They took their time. Rachin Ravindra took 10 or 12 balls. Then look at 11 to 20, they've made 66. In the next 24 overs, they made only 100. Yep. And then in the last 6 overs, they made 78. And it's proper 50 overs batting. In a sense, if you look at 50 overs as a compressed test match, then you saw a little bit of that. Sometimes 50 overs is an elongated 20-over game. But today we saw a compressed test match in 50 overs where you respected the conditions. You realize the ball is not coming on. The spinners are bowling well. You can't lose too many wickets. And Glenn Phillips, who I think is actually, when he gets going, the closest you can come to Sky, has actually played a completely different kind of innings, him and Latham. And it helped that, my cousin used to make non-stick cookware. It helped that they borrowed some of the PTFE from him.
Okay, that's far too much science for me. Joy, all yours.
No, I just wanted to say that I've been searching for one thing that had been bothering me for a very long time. So I just went onto the internet. That's why I was a bit distracted. I was looking at what happened to the fielding of the Afghan team. I mean, their coach could not be happy about it. Ryan Maron would not be happy about it at all. South African, they pride themselves on their fielding. I found the answer.
I think I know the answer.
I found the answer. The 26 September 2023, ACB announced Amul as a national team sponsor. That much butter floating around in the dressing room, this is bound to happen.
There is another theory.
What?
The DJ in Chennai did not play Dil Dil Afghanistan. Maybe that's the reason. No, we'll talk about the partnership between Glenn Phillips and Tom Latham. Harsha, you reckon New Zealand reassessed what the ideal pass course should be and they tried not to aim too high? Is that why they are where they are?
Look, they suddenly lost, they lost 3 wickets in no time at all. They were flying high. Rachin Ravindra was just coming into his own. I thought Will Young was beautiful, playing down the ground to the spinners. Those straight sixes they hit were fantastic. And then all of a sudden, they've lost 3 wickets. 2 unlikely, actually. Azmatullah Omarzoy, I think in that first spell, he bowled a lot better than you normally give him credit for. And then you've lost 3 wickets for 1 run. From 109 for 1, you're 110 for 4. You cannot lose more wickets then. Chapman is in there as a finisher at number 7, as a floater finisher to play exactly the kind of role he's ended up playing. So you couldn't lose wickets. So I just thought they built magnificently. They took 24 overs to score 100. But as I said with New Zealand, you'll never get a collapse. You'll never get something quite out of the ordinary. You'll never get weird headlines in newspapers, for example, if they were a media house. So when I was a kid growing up in Hyderabad, there was a local paper that had a headline one day, Aadmi ne kutte ko kaata. You'll never get those kind of headlines with New Zealand. They're very proper, very predictable. And I just thought that partnership was fantastic. And it's taken them to a position from which I think they should win.
That phase between 21 and 30, Joy, they scored only 29 runs. Clearly, they were looking at building a strong foundation because they knew they could score the big runs towards the end in the back 20 because they had Chapman and Santner to come.
Yeah, I mean, to borrow from Harsha's theme, dogged determination at this point in time. And the Afghan bowlers were hounding them, but they managed to stay. And, they kept their place in the crease. And I think it was important that they, stayed there. And I think they did very well because I think they knew that they had to accelerate. One other thing, I don't think they were looking at 300, 350 or anything like that. I think they were saying that anything above 250, if our pass score is 250, then towards the end we have a flourish, we will reach 270, 280, 290, and I think they think it's enough. And I think that's the way they've played the game. So they've executed their plan to perfection, because after that shock, had they not lost those wickets, then perhaps you could have seen a 320, 330. But the moment that happened, they said we cannot lose any more wickets till the 35th over. They played beautifully.
Harsha,
Typical New Zealand, right? Typical New Zealand. Their bark is never greater than their bite.
Do I now bring in the bowling card for all of us to take a look at? That's the poorest pun in the history of Cricbuzz Live.
Don't have this hangdog expression on your face just because your pun is not good. Okay, sorry. Okay.
It is still a cricket show. Sorry, go on.
No, that's it.
No, at the 35 over mark, Harsha, I thought they'll go for the big shots, but then they waited for the back 10. Well, did that surprise you?
No, it didn't, because I don't think they wanted to leave it till too late. I thought they'd start getting a move on around 40, 41. They actually got a move on around 42, 43. I think they were waiting to finish Rashid Khan and Mujib. They did hit 1-6 of Mujib when he bowled slightly fuller. Then Phillips hit over mid-wicket. But I think they were waiting for them to get over because they thought little more pace on the ball would help them. And I don't think on this track it's very easy to just come in and start hammering anyway. So my gut feel is, as Joy said, I don't think they're set stall to score 300. I think they might have taken 270. That's the feeling I got. I think they might have taken 270, 275. And I think they'll probably look at these 288 and say, we got about 13, 14 runs as a bonus at the end. But I think they were content to get to 270, 275. And it's become a cliche now. As we often say, keep the wickets, aim for 260, you'll probably get 280. Go bang, bang, aim at 300, you might get 240. So I think they played that perfectly, and great admiration for the way they went about their run chase.
Excellent fought.
I mean, they shouldn't have been allowed to, but given that the catches were dropped.
Excellent 48th over as well from Naveen ul Haq. And at that stage, we thought maybe they will end up somewhere around 265, 270. It was a pretty good over, that 48th one.
No, absolutely. And 3 runs and 2 wickets at that stage. Yeah. And you look at it, they still made 63 in the last, or 62 or 63 in the last 5. That means you take away that over, and the other 4, they've got averaged about 15 runs and over. So it's a spectacular performance at that stage. Interesting though that though Fazal Haq Farooqi bowled so well in the beginning, they still did not trust him towards the end. And that's something that I do not understand. They went with Omarzai with the ball. And though Omarzai had a really good first spell, 5 overs, just 18 runs, look at what happens to him after that. His next 2 overs go for how much? 18? 36 runs he goes for. Yep. 38 runs.
Yep.
38 runs he goes for in his next 2 overs.
These Afghanis are big built, right? I mean, very, very solidly built. Can they not find a solid strike fast bowler? Is that the one missing link in their force?
I wonder if it's a factor of the kind of tracks they play on. They did have a genuine fast bowler in Hamid Hassan, if you remember, in their early days. Proper fast bowler, would routinely bowl 140, 140 plus, lovely action. But all the bowlers who are coming in now are all take pace off kind of bowlers. So maybe they think that is the way to go. Sometimes Fazal Haq Farooqi, the new ball, he'll bowl sort of 130, 135, but Naveen ul Haq is never going beyond 137, 138. So maybe they think that's the way to go. That is their signature, that they will keep taking pace off, that they will bowl cutters and primarily be as a support staff to the trio of spinners. Whoa, trio. You could say quintet, sextet, you could say as many as you want. You could have a whole litter of spinners.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at...
coming to litter. So he had to come all the way back. I just want to tell you that in all this, our producer does not want to stay out of it. So just like you have Daryl Tuffy, do not forget that in Hum Aapke Hain Kaun, Tuffy the wonder dog was the umpire for all this. So he also has his contribution. So dogs shall be the theme of this.
The bone of contention is, what should Afghanistan do about their bowling card? Let's pull up that graphic once again to see how the captain Shahidi used his spinners. 43 of 10 for Rashid Khan. Then you had Mohammad Nabi bowl only 8. I was hoping he'd bowl the full 10. Mujib bowled his full 10 as well. A touch expensive, but you take these numbers, right, Joy?
I take those numbers. What I'm a bit surprised about with Fazal Haq Farooqi's overs left, that they went to Omarzai, and I know he's bowled a very good fifth over, till 5 overs. You give him a sixth also, I can understand that. You gave him a seventh, and when he went for about 18-20 in his sixth, is something that surprised me. So I think just a few tricks out there, and this is a very interesting, it's a very patchy Afghan performance.
Yep.
Some very good bowling, some slightly baffling, starting from the decision to bowl first, some slightly baffling decisions. The fielding was just not up to the mark. Terrible. I thought 4.5 catches, if you regard it. If Rashid Khan is taken as a catch, 4.5 dropped catches in an innings, you just cannot afford it.
Harsha, when after that big result from Netherlands last night, a lot of people expected a similar result today. Afghani fans take offense to the word upset. They say Afghanistan can beat New Zealand and you dare not call it an upset. But if your team's going to feel like this, then you will not be considered on par with the bigger, more fancy teams.
Look, it's nice that they object to the use of the word upset. But deep down, they will know if seed number 16 beats seed number 1 in the round of 16, it is an upset. So they will realize it is an upset. And I don't think people say upset and mean it to be very derogatory. But it is. You don't, when a team beats another team that they're not expected to beat, then that is an upset. But I like the fact that both the Netherlands and the Afghanistan seek to take objection to the word upset. But I will tell you this much, if they get these runs, then stand where you are and clap, because this is not going to be easy to get at all. And at that point, if we say that Afghanistan have upset New Zealand, they shouldn't take it amiss either, because that is what it is going to take from here. They have 2 batters in that team. You had a third in Ibrahim Zadran, who can bat depending on the conditions, in Rahmat Shah and Hashmatullah Shahidi. They can bat the way Phillips and Latham did. Yep. But then thereafter, if they can bat long enough without letting that asking rate go to 8 or 9 and then expect someone to come and go at the end, Cricbuzz is the key.
Proper captain's knock from Tom Latham. Only 5 big shots, 3 4s and 2 6s. So only 24 of those 68 coming from big shots. He took on the responsibility of just steadying the ship, to use a cliche, and because he knew he had to be there. No Williamson, he had a role to play.
No, absolutely. If you're 110 for 4 and you're batting out there and you still end up with a strike rate of almost 92, you have to say he's done what he needed to do. He really steadied the ship out there. And the way Glenn Phillips and he accelerated towards the end, I mean, it's unfortunate they lost them together. Otherwise, you could have added another 10-15 runs perhaps. But that's what I'm saying, that they played the conditions very well. They didn't take unnecessary risks. They took their chances. Some of the bowling changes, I was really, one was the Omarzai's last over, but also at a particular time, where they could have attacked with Rashid, I think they chose to, keep him away. And when they were vulnerable, I think, again, that's what happens to a lot of teams. When they're vulnerable, there are 2 options you do. When a team is vulnerable, they've lost wickets, there are 2 ways to go about it. One is try and get rid of your 6th bowler.
Yeah.
Okay. And get your weaker bowlers out of the way. The other is attack then.
Yep.
And I think a lot of the teams choose option 1, which is that let's get a few overs out. And I think what that allows is it allows the batting team to settle down a bit. Then even when the better bowlers come back, perhaps they're in a better position to attack them.
Harsha, Tom Latham seems to enjoy the responsibility of captaincy. At least so it seems in this innings.
He's got a tough 50 overs ahead of him, because they ran a lot of singles. They ran a lot of 1s and 2s. And most of the time he was running Phillips's runs.
Yeah.
So he's run a lot. Chennai in the afternoon, whatever time of the year it is, Chennai in the afternoon, you're running that much. It's going to take a lot out of him. I think Ian Smith said, if there's one player who deserves a good sleep, that's Tom Latham tonight. So, plus he's captain, he's got to be up there. His performance will be under scrutiny, but I thought he judged the situation perfectly. And in fact, even he got those runs at the end. I think a striker of 90, when you come in amidst a fall of a lot of wickets, you're 110 for 4. I think striker of 90 with the runs that he scored was fantastic. I've a lot of time for Tom Latham. He's a wonderful player. He does it hard. He bats in the middle order in one-days. He opens the batting in Test cricket. He does it the other way, to the way most people would like to. But he just is just such a calming influence in those middle overs. This very good boy amongst a sea of other people. See how he even combs his hair so perfect. Perfectly combed. He's perfectly good boy. He looks like when he goes out to bat, he looks like he's going to church.
This was a fire and ice combination, wasn't it? Fire from Glenn Phillips as well. Safe to say that Phillips lit the stage. Harsha, for you, is he in the sky mold? 4 4s, 4 6s, 80 of 71? 71 of 80, sorry.
I think he can play that kind of role. I think the quality of the innings lay in not playing that kind of role, but in building the innings. Yeah. And then you see when the time came, he hit the big six down the ground. He hit a big six over mid-wicket. He got a boundary as well. When the time came, he was starting to play those big shots. And even though Chapman got those runs, I dare say if Phillips had been around, they might have got another 6 or 7 runs. But it was a wonderful innings. And that is why you must have depth in your batting. This is 5 and 6 who've scored the runs. And I mean, 6 has to be a batter. 6 can't just be an all-rounder. And don't forget, Glenn Phillips will probably now, if required, come in and bowl 4 or 5 overs of off breaks.
Yep. Joy, it takes a lot to curb your natural instincts, right?
No, but I just want to tell you one more thing. You look at it and think about it really seriously. Glenn Phillips is supposed to be an aggressive batsman. Tom Latham is supposed to be the player who's sort of playing. People are playing around him. Glenn Phillips ended up with a strike rate of 88.75. With all that, Tom Latham ends up with a strike rate of almost 92.
Yeah.
So it tells you something. There's some players out there who just manage to score runs very quietly. And Tom Latham, as I said, again, takes much more singles. A very Mike Hussey kind of player. You look up at the scorecard and suddenly you realize he's on 30. Busy player, and what Harsha said, he's run so much. He does that. He manages to rotate the strike. And even in conditions like that, coming out with a strike rate of 92 is really good for his team.
What do they say about him? They say, and quietly flows the Tom. Right?
Yeah. From and quiet flows the Don to and quietly flows the Tom. Wonderful.
Quietly flows the Tom.
Mark Chapman, has he done what Roelof van der Merwe did for Netherlands yesterday? The momentum as the innings ended, now clearly with New Zealand, Harsha.
And perfect, and no pressure on him, because that is the role he was sent out to play. And I won't be surprised if those 25 runs, he made 25, right? He made 25, 26. I won't be surprised if those runs just give them the buffer that they need, because I mean, you're looking 280. It could have been 250, 255. Those runs at the end are always a source of great comfort for the fielding captain should the opposition get off to a good start. So he played his role perfectly. Santner ran hard for him, put him back in strike, and I think they've got as many runs. I mean, you look at that card and say, yeah, I would have liked to get 300 if he hadn't lost those 3 wickets in a bunch. But I think they'll take 288. I think it's a really good score.
Yes, New Zealand have a chance to go top of the table. India sitting pretty in that top spot. Now, India play Bangladesh tomorrow in Pune. It's a stadium that's very difficult to get to. But after seeing what Afghanistan have done, after seeing what Netherlands have done, a lot of people, especially Bangladeshi fans, are hoping for an upset result against an in-form India. Here's what Paras Mamre said about India's journey. Remember, India play 9 different teams in 9 different venues, 9 different surfaces that offer different challenges for us, is what he said. And so we want to prepare for that. Bangladesh or Netherlands, we want to treat each game equally important. Is Paras Mamre trying to be politically correct here, or is that how a team should?
No, he's absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Listen, this is a good Bangladesh side. Don't forget, I don't know if Shakib is going to be fully fit to play. Mehdi Hassan Miraj has come out as a good player. That Mushfiqur Rahim always gets those cheeky, irritating, valuable runs there. Shantos emerged as a good player. This is a good side. They've finally got a couple of left-arm bowlers who are bowling well in Shariful and Mustafizur, Taskin. It's a good side, this. So, I mean, they gave you a scare in the T20 World Cup too towards the end. So you have to absolutely take this game 100% seriously. I'd still like them to go up and get runs quickly. I wouldn't mind seeing a bouncier surface there in Pune. You can get those kind of surfaces too. So you have to take that game very, very seriously.
It was a one-sided win against Pakistan, an easy win really. India weren't tested at all. How does India guard against complacency?
You just got to keep reminding yourself it's the next match, it's the next match. And some players still get complacent, but that's what coaches will do. They'll just keep saying next match, next match, next match, one match at a time. Don't think further than that, because what happens with long tournaments is if you start thinking about, you go 3-4 matches ahead, you get ahead of yourself, and then you forget what's under your nose. If you're thinking of playing England now when there's Bangladesh under your nose, you're in trouble. So I think what coaches try and do is bring you back your focus to this match. And remember, this is, if it's a bouncer service also, this is a one Bangladesh attack after a long time where they have decent bowlers to exploit conditions like that as well. Shoriful gets bounced, gets a bit of movement up front, brings the ball back. You have Taskin Ahmed, who's emerged to be a genuinely good bowler. Mustafizur, who can come on first change and do things with you. He really had those wrists of his are absolutely magical. So this is not, if Shakib does not play, that's a big blow, because Shakib is just a fantastic one-day player. He's probably one of the great one-day greats. His record tells you that he's been the ODI, ICC, this thing for the longest time, all-rounder of the year for the longest time. He's one of the greatest records. So his not being there is a big thing. But even somebody like Mehdi Hasan Miraj, I feel Liton Das up front, he can really hurt teams because he has that ability to be able to go 70, 80 very quick runs. And he has that ability to be able to hit good bowling. So it's a good side. It's a good side.
We will, of course, do a much more detailed preview to India-Bangladesh a little later tonight, which you can watch online tomorrow as well before the game. For now, though, 289 is the target for Afghanistan for them to create another upset in this World Cup by beating New Zealand. 289, Rahmanullah Gurbaz, whose name Harsha Bhogle loves, and his partner Ibrahim Zadran. What should their approach be, Harsha? Do they go for the big shot straight away, or do they take a leaf out of New Zealand's books, just stay there and maybe the runs will come?
I think they just play normal cricket because Ibrahim Zadran's game is that of an innings builder. Rahmanullah Gurbaz's game is to go hard. He did that against England, by the way. That was a fabulous innings against England. I think New Zealand will bowl better with the new ball than England did. And if they can get a couple of wickets out of Trent Bolt's opening spell, wow. So if I'm Bangladesh, I'm saying whatever happens, don't give a wicket to Trent Bolt and Matt Henry in their opening spell. And then we'll see from there, because Lockie is bowling well, but he can sometimes be expensive. We'd back ourselves to play against the spin of Santner and Rachin Ravindra and the left arm of and the off breaks of Phillips. So don't give a wicket to Trent Bolt with the new ball and then take it from there.
Rahmanullah Gurbaz has different numbers in the second innings. Last time, remember, they were batting first, and so Gurbaz could go for the big shots. No better time than now to change those numbers, those second innings numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think what happens is that, and here's where Ajay Jadeja will help, being in that Afghan dressing room. Because I think what Gurbaz does is, chasing is a much more difficult art, because you have a target in your head, and that often obscures the vision of batsmen. It's not easy to play while chasing, and that's why Virat is considered such a master. Because to be able to chase with a target in mind is not easy at all. But I think somebody like a Jadeja will speak to Gurbaz about clearing his mind, because Harsha is absolutely right. Gurbaz has to play his natural game. He knows no other way to play. He just has to wait for the ball. He is a natural attacker. Let him attack, let the others play around him, and see how far it goes.
From New Zealand's point of view, clearly I'm sure they would have looked at the numbers which say that the Afghanistan openers struggle against left arm pace. Now Trent Bolt is clearly gold class in that category. Harsha.
As good as they get, as among the best on song, on par, if not a notch above Afridi and Stark when he's on song, when he's got that ball hooping around. So he'll be the key. Don't forget too, one of the reasons they chose to bat second was the dew, but it's still a little early for the dew, given 2 o'clock start. So what are we talking? We're talking about 6:15, about 6:20 now. They'll get, even if there is dew, they've got an hour and 15 minutes or so before the dew sets in. And they've got to try and take wickets in that period. And while the ball will still swing, swings 2, 3, 4 overs sometimes, but while it's swinging, we talk about Bolt, we talk about Ferguson. Quietly, who's been taking a lot of wickets for them recently is Matt Henry. Yeah. It's a name we in India don't like very much, Matt Henry, after 2019. But he's a wonderful bowler. So Bolt and Henry are actually among the best opening combos in this tournament.
Yes, they will.
Those numbers are fabulous.
They will test Gurbaz and Ibrahim Zadran. But if we could pull up the Afghanistan lineup, one man who made quite a wave in that last innings, a half-century for young Ikram Akhilil on his World Cup debut, a half-century batting at number 6, is a left-hander. to counter Mitch Santner? Can he be sent in at number 3 instead of Rahmat Shah, Harsha? Because Rahmat Shah hasn't had a good time. How about sending him in at 3?
I don't know if it's a 20-over game, yes. But at this stage, they've got to bat out 50 overs. They'll probably want him at the end. He's very, very impressive. That catch he took today going to his left, changing direction. So as a keeper, he's done fantastic. He's got a half century. But I don't think they'll move that around because they've got left, right going all the way through. I'm not sure they'll want to move that around too much unless he's done. Look, I don't know if he's done that role several times in the past and he's very comfortable playing that role. But otherwise, they've got players like Rahmat Shah and Shahidi who played that role before. So I don't think, because I don't think they can go out to bat in reaction to the score that the opposition has put up. They just got to go and bat and say, right, suppose we're batting first and we had to make 290, would we? And go out and get those runs. But we talked about Gurbaz as well. You know, we talk about home and away records in Test match cricket. And we say why good players got a good away record. I think you also look at bat first, bat second records in 50 overs cricket in almost a similar vein.
New Zealand will be on their toes because Afghanistan bat till 9. There's Mujib who comes in at 9. He scored a few crucial runs in that last game as well. So it's not going to be an easy outing for New Zealand either.
It's not going to be an easy outing, but New Zealand, by and large, again, what we were saying, they're a disciplined side. Yep. You know, they'll keep doing their thing. You know, they rarely move away from their game plan. They'll keep delivering their game plan. Again, I think the onus is on the Afghan batsmen. What New Zealand will try and do is try and make sure that run rate climbs to 6 as soon as possible. The moment the run rate goes above 6, 6.5, then the pressure just keeps building. And I think that's what they'll try and do. And if Bolt, you know, they want Bolt to come back in style in this tournament because I think Bolt, we still haven't seen the best of left-arm fast bowlers, which is such an essential part of the game. We still haven't seen the best of Shaheen Shah Afridi. We haven't seen the best of, you know, so many of them haven't really performed. And I think it's about time they did, because even Stark, while he's got wickets, he's not got the impressive wickets that, you know, the upfront wickets that we think that he should take.
Mitchell Santner, a force as well, that Afghanistan will have to reckon with. Harsha, are you surprised with what Santner has done so far? Joint highest wicket taker so far in the World Cup?
Maybe a little pleasantly surprised by the number of wickets he's taken, but not surprised at all by the manner in which he's bowled. I mean, don't forget, he's won matches against India on turning tracks. Do you remember 2016 T20 World Cup? Nagpur, Ish Sodhi and Santner just ran through you. The moment the conditions are slightly favorable, Santner becomes a fabulous bowler. But even otherwise, because he's grown up in conditions that don't help you, he's got magnificent control. Because if you're bowling spin in New Zealand, what do you have going for you other than beautiful weather, lovely conditions, look around you, enjoy your holidays? You got an IPL contract, buy a house in Mount Maunganui. But other than that, you've got nothing going for you. So you learn to have fantastic control. Who was the other spinner from there who was like that? Was Dan Vettori. You have to have great control. And that is why as soon as attack does something for you, they become lethal.
Yes, Mitch Santner, remember, he's a Chepauk boy in a sense, Chennai Super Kings. Who you reckon has the upper hand and by how much? Is it 80-20 New Zealand or 70-30?
And I'm going to stick my neck out and say 80-20 New Zealand, only because, as I said, this is a pitch that Santner also knows if there's even a little bit of turn and offer, there could be trouble.
Right, we're done. Prediction time, Harsha. 10 over mark.
Wait a minute. Who got it right the first time around?
You did, sir. Well done.
It's time you acknowledge it.
Sir, this white table is yours. We shall send it across to your Gurgaon house, sir.
Yeah, this is like the red tables that Gaurav has promised so many people.
Okay, I've got vada pav for you.
Okay, vada pav I'll take.
Not bad. Not bad. 10 over prediction, sir. Harsha.
43.
For?
Either.
1 or 2.
Okay, Joy.
I think they'll go hard up front. 55.
I'm going to say 65 for 4. Afghanistan.
He's finally sticking his neck out. You've got to
because
him.
You put pressure on me, so I had to take a chance. Nothing to lose. 65 for 4.
65 for 4. You can't blink your eyes once if it's 65 for 4.
Ho jayega. I like Mitch Santner. I like Trent Bolt. And I know Gurbaz will go for his shot. So we shall see. We're done with Cricbuzz Live for now. We will join you at the 15 over mark on Cricbuzz Combox. Bye for now.